No.
The future of radio is here. New era, TT Radio, NETT Radio. Let's go.
I remember when you children were weak and hungry. I took you to my bosom, fed you my oil. And even when you took and wasted and left me drained, there was always love for you in my soil. Even when my older children, they tried to shame me, setting no rules for the younger ones, bringing such grief and sadness into my household. In the end, they're still my daughters and sons. I will always be there for you, no matter what you do, whatever joy or pain that you are going.
And of course, we here on New Era TT Radio will always be here for you also, as we're here for you right now, as we get ready for On the Inside with Steve Williams, courtesy of the Foundation for Human Development. They graciously then steeped us on this beautiful Wednesday. Had a little shower a little while ago on the outside. I don't know if Steve is, if he is experiencing anything like that. But Steve, good morning to you.
And good morning. No shower this way. Nice hot sun. In fact, I stole a little time to run off quickly because, you know, I cooked my favorite food yesterday evening, which is oil dong. You know, now, although I can't eat the pigtail, I love to put the pigtail in it. I just love to see the pig swimming in it. So I cooked my food and I had to do a little distribution, you know. I had to carry some for a friend and some for my daughter. And you know how it goes. You know, they like my oil dong. I'm good at that.
Yeah. That is good. That is good.
So, moving from oil dong to other issues which are closely connected, we're talking about loneliness and transforming that into connection. And why this has come up is because I always say people share, and sometimes they share things that are really deeply inspiring to me, and sometimes the way it affects them, I think it's something that should be shared with others so that those who get a chance to hear or listen can say, oh, well, maybe I can look at that in my own way. So there's this gentleman, wonderful person, did well, educated himself and so on, made a choice to live by himself, and now seems to be a bit disillusional in his way. He's rambling about certain things. He's just about 50 something years old. He's rambling about all kinds of things. He has stopped going to work. He no longer works. He has lost connection with a lot of people and so on. And so I decided to think about where all that is coming from in a particular way, what's going on. And that's why I talk about loneliness. Now, I read a little something. There was a study covering 2,200 adults over 4 years. And it revealed that a 45% higher risk of death for lonely individuals. And chronic isolation is as hazardous as smoking 20 cigarettes a day. So they have done some work on this, and they've shown where a lot of this, and I'm not just talking about aloneness, there's a difference between aloneness and loneliness. I look at loneliness as coming from the inside, as a sort of an emptiness, sometimes even a little quiet depression and a lack of connectivity. And aloneness, because you can be alone and not be lonely. And there are lots of people who live alone and they are not lonely. In fact, they enjoy their aloneness. I am one of those. I enjoy my aloneness. But I'm not lonely. So that there are many times people find themselves in this state or this spirit of loneliness, it's a gradual thing that comes upon them. It doesn't just happen that way. So I want to share a little bit about how and some of the signs that we have in how we approach how loneliness comes upon us in some ways, and we don't even know it's coming upon us. The effects that may have on how we live, how we relate to people, and then ways of transforming that into what I would call authentic connection. So I'll talk about all that this morning. So it is okay to feel lonely at times. I'm not saying that some of us don't feel lonely at times. You could have 6 children in the house. You could have a wife. You could have a partner and still feel a sense of loneliness. And that's normal. That's okay. I'm not talking about normal periods or states when we become a little bit lonely. I'm talking about chronic loneliness, chronic isolation, in which you can't get out of it sometimes. And it's not because you don't have people around you. It's because the inside of the self begins to turn in a particular direction. And what turns you in that direction? So I'll share that now. The first thing is it starts with persistent boredom and restlessness. You see, sometimes we have a cycle of constant restlessness in our lives, and we shift from one shallow distraction to another. And how do we do that? Well, we spend our time mindlessly browsing, watching TV, playing games on the TV, scrolling through all these YouTube feeds and other feeds and so on and so on. So we attempt to escape. Okay, and it's good. It's always good. It's temporary. Sometimes we find other ways of connecting with substances. So we connect with alcohol, we connect with sometimes gambling. And if you look at, I have spoken with people who have chronic gambling problems. And they tell me when you go inside the casino is like a family. They recognize your birthdays, they welcome you, they're glad to have you there. There's a feeling of warmth and welcoming that happens in the casino. So you're encouraged to gamble and you go there, not just so-called to win in the slot machine or jacks or blackjack or whatever it is, You go there because you feel wanted, you feel a sense of belonging, and you feel acceptance, which is the bottom line for everybody who lives in this world. So when we lack meaningful connections, we have a tendency to find ways to escape. And these ways sometimes are quite helpful. And then they get into addictive behavior. That's where we get into trouble. Okay? So when life becomes dull and each moment feels insignificant, we reach out. We reach out in a particular way and we don't realize that it's happening to us until a disaster occurs and a crisis occurs, and then somebody brings it to our attention. The second thing is that sometimes we begin to feel detached and disconnected from others. And that is a growing thing. It's like when you are a particular age and people have moved on with their lives. They may be in a family, the children have gone where they have to go, study, work, married, whatever the story might be. Your spouse is not as communicative as he or she was before. Everybody's living in their own little space. Sometimes because of that, every couple now, each one gets his own bedroom. You sleep in that room, I sleep in that room, and so on. There's a sharing of space now because people want their own space, so they say. And there's a big growing feeling of being detached and disconnected. People don't call you as much, especially for those who have retired. When your connection was with your work and your colleagues at work, and you felt meaningful, you felt needed, you felt wanted, and now nobody calls you, except maybe if there's a crisis, somebody's sick, somebody's dying, and so on, conversation about something else, or somebody wants something from you. But in terms of deep, meaningful conversation where you could share where you're at, what's going on inside of you, what you're feeling. You want to talk about your spirituality, your relationship with God. You want to talk about your relationship even with some of your family members that may not be going too well. Those things tend to get slow down a little bit. You tend not to have someone who can share, and that happens as you age. So there's growing detachment and growing disconnection, and then you begin to withdraw from once enjoyed social activities, and that's another big one. You used to go out a lot more. You had friends who would call you. You would have a lime there. Now you find it too troublesome. The crime bothering you. You don't want to drive too late in the night because you can't see too well with the eyes and so on. You prefer to stay home. You prefer somebody comes to look for you and so on. So you begin slowly to disconnect from social activities. And when that begins to happen, again, you're disconnecting from a sense of enjoyment, a sense of gaiety and so on. And that in it leads to quietly becoming more and more lonely, because sometimes these social activities were quite good distraction. On a Friday, you're going here. On a Tuesday evening, we have bridge or we have all fours. We play that and so on. When those things begin to decline and the people who used to play begin to say, well, we're not interested anymore. This one is not feeling well. This one can't come out. Then your detachment from social activities begin to dwell on you, and you begin to get into that state and stage of a kind of an inner loneliness. And then, of course, the big one is that we find ourselves primarily interacting through screens. Now, let's face it, it is sometimes a healthy distraction and sometimes not a healthy distraction. We have many screens now, and we have ways of getting into those screens. You have the iPad, you have the iPhone, you have the phone, you have the YouTube channels, you have every kind of television with X number of channels on it. You could sit whole day flipping from channel to channel to channel, looking for something that you like. One, you go on the Western, two, you go on the storytelling with life and so on, and you enjoy these things and you keep moving whole day. You're moving from one screen to the next. Now, while that is good in terms of distraction and sometimes even entertainment and enjoyment, we have something you begin to interact with the screens. As one person shared the other day and said, the AI has become the companion. So now they're talking to AI. AI, tell me what I should cook today. Things like that, AI, tell me how should I manage so and so. So many people have now become, because AI is an intelligence in its own right, many people have now befriended AI. So AI becomes a friend. It's a way of getting away from the loneliness. And that's what you become. That's where you are. But it still does not mean deep, authentic connection. Connection is okay, but when it's not authentic, it's artificial, then there's another problem, because we are meant as human beings to be authentically connected with each other. We're meant, that's how it's meant to be. Then we get into a state of sadness when we're alone. Many of us find ourselves beginning to feel sad because a lot of the information coming to us is not positive and uplifting. Let's face it. You buy a newspaper, it's sad news. Somebody calls you out of desperation, somebody get killed, somebody's sick, somebody's in hospital, it's sad news. So we find ourselves surrounded with a lot of sadness. The world is sad, in a sense. The news is sad. And so we imbibe that. We take that in. And so we begin to feel sad without even knowing why sometimes. And you're talking to people and they say, who got a feeling so sorry for those children in the Gaza and so on. Quite in the Gaza. But you're feeling it here because you've taken in the news and you watch BBC and you watch CNN and then you finish Switch and you're watching something else, NMSBC and so on. So you find yourself absorbing the negative and the sadness of the world, you become sad. You become sad inside. And when you become sad, it adds to your own inner pain of loneliness. So sometimes we need to move away from that. We need to turn off the screens. We need to turn off the TV, not look at the news. Some people say, I can't miss my news. I can't miss my news. You could miss the news. Miss it. You can, because sometimes you're not understanding the kind of indelible effect this is having on your psyche and how it is creating these sort of difficult psychological situations in your own life. You don't see it. And you get irritated with people and you're short with other people. And sometimes it has a lot to do with the fact that nothing is moving positively in your own life. Then, of course, we have those who move into the issue of sleep, and sleep becomes difficult. You sometimes fall asleep 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, but you get up at 1 o'clock. And so many people are telling me they get up and they can't go back to sleep, and their brain is working overtime. And all the issues of the day keep coming back, and they're trying to solve all the problems at 2 and 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. And eventually they fall asleep at 4 o'clock and 4:30 when they have to get up at 6 o'clock. And so the body itself is tired. It's emotionally drained because you're trying to resolve your issues in your head. And that happens when silence comes, you see, because you can distract yourself all day with people and screens and so on. But in the stillness of the night, in the darkness of the night, silence reigns and all the thoughts come back to you, and they come rushing, and the pain and the hurt, sometimes even the joy would come up, and the unresolved issues get prominence in your brain. And you're trying to resolve it. If I tell her that, if I don't tell him that, better don't tell him that, I shouldn't say anything about that. And you're going backward and forward, over and over, the same matter in your head all the time. That is a sign to some extent, especially when it comes with poor sleeping habits. That's a sign that you're beginning to deal with a whole sense of inner pain and a sense of inner loneliness beginning to dwell upon you. And you must recognize that. And finally is the whole question of substance use. When you have begun to double up on your use of substances, then you know you're running into a serious risk. And I say double up because it could be anything. It could be ice cream for all you know. It can be, usually it's one of the more destructive ones, which would be marijuana, alcohol, and so on. So many people now feel so comfortable in smoking weed and so on. And they tell me, oh, Mr. Williams, you must try it. It's nothing big and so on. I will smoke 2 joints a day, 3 joints a day. And then you go to 4 a day and 5 a day and so on. Any substance is meant really and truly to soothe the pain, unrecognized, unpronounced, in you. And you want to quiet that turmoil that's existing in you, whether it's relationship-wise, whether it's financial-wise, whatever your story might be, you want to quiet that. So many people have turned to substances as a way of dealing with that, of silencing and soothing that inner pain that they're feeling. And that leads to a sense of growth, because you know what happened? You begin to spend more time with yourself only. And you and your substances are wonderful people. You will just spend time together doing whatever you think is necessary together. You smoke, you drink, you whatever it is, and you're okay. But it's only for a short time, because very soon you will find yourself feeling that pain, and that pain will come up. And unless you keep drumming yourself in your substances, you don't seem to manage it very well. So how do we move from those states to a sense of connection, authentic connection? The first thing is we have to reach out. Sometimes your inner self prevents you, criticizes you, and tells you you're not worthy of connection, and so on. What you have to do is to be vulnerable enough and reach out. There are many people, and when I say reach out, I mean there are several kinds of communities out there. There are church communities, there are church groups. I'm not saying everybody must go to a church group, but there are groups of all kinds. There are community groups, there are dance groups, there are best village groups, or whatever it is. I don't know what is going on now, but you have many groups in which you can find yourself. There are, in a lot of community centers, you have courses and little workshops that are offered. Those who are doing a little bit of crochet or a little bit of something. And whether you're young or not, you can reach out. There is swimming. Reach out, get into a group that allows you connection. Now, the connection is about what you're into, whether it is about swimming or whatever the case may be. Once you move out of your state of complicity and you become vulnerable and you say, okay, I can't live like this anymore, I need connection, you reach out and you will find the connection and it will be waiting there for you. The other thing is you have to limit your social media use. And that goes across the board, not so much for the elderly, because they're part of it too, but they're not overly confined to that. I would say a lot of the people in their mid-years and in the younger age groups become addicted to the social media feeds. And it is addictive. I could see it, I go anywhere. Let me give you the two different examples. I go to my eye doctor and I sit in the waiting room, and most people are my age. They're in their late 60s, their 70s. They come to see their eyes and so on. And there's conversation. There is conversation. How are you going? How things going? My son, my daughter, my aunt, my nephew, my niece. This is my husband and so on. There's conversation. You go somewhere else with the younger group. There I went out with my own children, younger group and so on, in the restaurant and so on. Everybody around the table sitting down with a phone. So, big difference, huge difference. So, if you have to get into authentic connection, you have to make that big leap and put the phone away and have authentic conversation. Not conversation with AI, not conversation with a little 2 lines on WhatsApp. You're coming tomorrow. You're cooking today. What you're cooking today? And all these kind of little short, brief messages people send. And they get more brief with their little abbreviations and so on. So in a sense, if we don't make that effort, we will be regressing into a very lonely set of people addicted right across the board to all kinds of things. And then we have to develop healthy habits. Very important. We have to prioritize sleep, prioritize nutrition, prioritize exercise, and so on. I see a lot of people doing that now because a lot of people are finding it necessary to go into the gym and get personal trainers and so on. Some people can't afford that, but other people can afford to walk. And so I see people walking in little groups and so on now and having conversations while walking. Excellent. It's a way you build your authenticity and connection. And finally, because I talk for the whole time about prayer and meditation. And meditation is an important way of opening up the mind and the heart and the soul, resting in God's presence, allowing God to do his work with you. And once you begin to meditate, you find a greater sense of fulfillment and authentic connection to the divine, which is really important. So let me stop there. I've talked way too much this morning. If anybody has any other suggestions that they could share with us in terms of moving to authentic connection.
Beautiful. So people, we are here with you on New Era TT Radio. This is On the Inside with Steve Williams, courtesy of the Foundation for Human Development. Now, if you would like to get in on the show, you can give us a call right now, right now, at 868-281-1315. That's 281-1315. You can direct call or you can WhatsApp call. We will take your calls any which way that you would like to get in on the program. So while we wait on the calls there, Steve, this is such an interesting topic. I wonder, there is a song that Luther Vandross, their home is not home, and plenty chairs, but nobody's sitting there. You know,
Good
you
one,
talk
yeah.
about all of those kinds of stuff. Can somebody be lonely and not really recognize that is lonely or lonely?
Most people, most people, because we cover it up so well. We cover
Is
it
that
up
like
so well.
denial?
Yes, it is denial. We cover it up really well. And there's so much going on now that we can cover it up. You see, in the days gone by, and people, praise good old days. I don't praise them too much because I had some good and some bad old days myself. But in days gone by, there was far more authentic connection, although we didn't have all these devices. You will know what was happening to Miss Mary down the road. You will know. You will know that Miss Mary was sick and Miss Mary went to hospital. And you will know that John had problems with his prostate. You will know. It's common knowledge in the village. And I went to look for somebody in the hospital, and all the little isolated cubes, and nobody knows anything
Yeah,
about
yeah.
anybody.
And it's right around you.
Right around you.
Wow.
Nobody knows.
Steve, hold on a minute there. We have a caller coming in. Caller, morning to you.
Good morning, Sir Charles, and good morning, Mr. Steve.
Morning,
Morning.
Junior.
Nice. Nice topic. Excellent topic. Mr. Steve,
Mm-hmm.
nice one. Interested though, right? Because now you hit the nail on the head too, authentic a relationship or authentic conversation, and conversation is something that people don't seem to have anymore.
That's
Right? What I do again, Mr. Steve, right? Some people, some people say, oh gosh, boy, I'm thinking about that person. You have the person's phone number, you're on every social media platform to connect and contact the person.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll never do it. But
Yes.
good, my mind on that. I just watch people like, are you for real?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have the person number? Yeah, the person number, but I keep on hearing them saying, oh gosh, I give John Doe a call and they come on mind,
Yes.
I
Yes.
really coming across my mind, and you have the person contact number, you have and you would not contact the person, and it's something that baffles me with people, because if I, right, and again, I might be different, right, but if somebody come across my mind, I go shoot a call, and even though if you're really busy, as we say, because sometimes we are really busy doing nothing.
That's
We
right.
are really busy doing nothing. And Mr. Steve, we as a people, we have to. I think in this age, because as you rightfully say, there are so many things to distract you as an individual, and it's like, while technology is great on one hand, on the other hand, it's like technology, if you don't manage it, it can isolate you from what is real and from what not is real. Because you have everything at the touch of a button. So if you want to watch a movie, if you want to look at news, if you want to look at sport, it's right there in the touch of your hand. And also, just as Mr. Steve, they're even now amping up, the date sites, right? You hire, so you have the virtual virtual date sites where you're actually seeing a virtual person that you can have a conversation. But wow, these people ain't leaving nothing up to the imagination. And
No, nothing.
But here what I'm saying, right, Mr. Steve and Sir Charles, what's important to you? As I rightfully say, such as when we having lunch, and you have to intentionally do it, because if you don't intentionally do it, you get caught up. When we are having lunch on our table, we do not have no phones. We
Excellent.
for the TV, because and you try to strike up a conversation and a genuine conversation.
That's
How
right.
are you going? And so people can express themselves. And we
Yes.
don't have these things anymore. So Charles and Mr. Steve, I can leave it this for now, but a good program.
Yes.
Excellent.
Thanks very much, Junior, for that input, because what was is not is, and there is, as they say, there's a new normal that is taking place. And I am seeing where, as he said, the technology is not leaving space for anything. Like the technology wants to make you more lazy and more dumbed down than anything else. So they are making it as convenient as possible that you don't have to leave your corner, that they don't want to see you outside. you know and 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 the generations today are getting accustomed to that. So they will
Yes.
get up from morning. They don't have to come out of their bedroom, but other than to go to the kitchen and go back to the bedroom.
That's right.
That sort of thing. They don't need that kind of connection. They don't need to walk on the road and go next door by John and all those different kinds. It has changed a lot for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We are craving the presence, the physical, emotional presence of others. We may have it on the screen, but the actual presence, the feeling of the person's energy next to you is missing. And the more we go into screens and the more we go into these connections, is the less we have of that kind of a genuine, authentic connection. And I call it an energetic one. Because if I'm liming with you, if I say, so Charles, meet me on Friday, and we sit down and we have a cold beer together, that is hugely different from you sharing with me on a screen. Let me tell you what happened today now. It's a different thing altogether. It's an energetic connection that happens when we sit on the same bar stool. And we can have a sharing and a laughter and an enjoyment and so on. And we're craving it more and more. And I think young people are craving it too. And if as parents we get trapped into the artificial connection, then we're going to have to deal with a lot further down the road. And so it's important. I am so glad what Junior said that he has made a decision that family time is put away all the screens and so on. We can do without that for now. Yeah, sure. We can live without that for now.
Hello, good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning, Sir Charles again, and good morning to Mr. Williams. I love listening to your program. You're always on point. I just love the topic. But I'm going to make an spin to it. Let me put it as the person spiritually inclined and say, here going on. I just don't like the vibes. I just locking off. Sometimes you might find it look like loneliness. It's just that some people just push up a kind of energy that here going on. I good. I locking off that. Sometimes it could be your own family members. Yes, staying at distance. Hi, how you going? And that's it. Lock off. You're on a WhatsApp page group and you say, here going on. This group, it reached the admin. Normally, every time I just showing a reference. You're on WhatsApp. You're on a page group with family members. All of a sudden, you just see the whole thing switch off. Admin, no thing to say, well, all right. You are switching to admin now. You have to respond to admin. Normally, the family group, you'll see everybody, you see all the conversation going on. All of a sudden, you just switch on. So you see that? I locking off. I just coming off of that group. Sometimes a person might just want to be by themselves because of what they are seeing. Family members have a way the heavy spirit then.
Yes.
The people say heavy spirit. So I just play not twisted. I just one side. Because remember, a coin always have both sides. So that's one side and it's the next side. I just only watch it like that, as like that also. So as I say, great program, I'm listening.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Suzanne. Yeah, and that's a part of it too. Some people may definitely just lock off, and it's very comfortable within themselves, just being by themselves and locking out everybody externally.
I love that too, Don't get me wrong at all. I just spend all my time looking for authentic conversation all over the place. And I agree with her. There are times when you simply have to lock off what you consider to be, I consider to be negative energy.
Mm-hmm.
And people sharing things you don't really want to take on that today, you don't take on that tomorrow. You just say, listen, I have no time for that anymore. Because you on a different beat, your mind is somewhere else. You're positive, your vibes are kicking in a particular direction, and people only pulling you down. Oh gosh, my mother this, my father this, and this and that, and they're going on and on and on without stopping, and the same thing repeating over and over in the WhatsApp group. So sometimes you really do need to just close it down. But and closing it does not make you lonely. It doesn't make you lonely. It puts your boundaries up so that people will learn how to respect you. And that's important in loneliness as well. People need to know where to get off. People need to know how to respect you. That's very important. And so I have no problem with that whatsoever at all. In fact, I applaud it, as a matter of fact.
Okay. Well, that's where we're going to leave it for today.
Oh, yes.
So tell people how to get in contact with you now.
Okay, so Foundation, we're physically located in Cascade, 36 Cascade Road, Cascade. And you can get us on our email, which is foundationhd@gmail.com, or you can WhatsApp us at 482-6500.
Okay. Well, Steve, thank you very much for the conversation. Great as always. And looking forward to chatting with you again, God's willing, next week, Wednesday.
Thank you.
Have a good day and a good week.
Take care. Same to you.
I remember when you children were weak and hungry. I took you to my bosom, fed you my oil. And even when you took and wasted and left me drained, there was always love for you in my soil. Even when my older children, they tried to shame me, setting no rules for the younger ones, bringing such grief and sadness into my household. In the end, they're still my daughters and sons. I will always be there for you, no matter what you do, whatever.